county forward. I've lived in this county my entire life. My husband Bobby and I are parents to 3 wonderful kids, and they motivate me to make our community better. Thank you all for giving me the opportunity to do so.
And now we have incumbent freeholder Steve Tonelli.
Thank you very much. Good evening, everyone. I would first like to thank the Bergen Grassroots for hosting this forum. I'd like to thank each of the candidates that agreed to participate. And I'd like to thank everyone for coming out and taking an interest in this year's important freeholder race. I first got involved in my community as a coach in my town's recreation department, ultimately becoming a commissioner and a town recreation director. I had the honor of serving North Arlington for 9 years as a councilman, council president, and acting mayor. My entrance into government and politics came when I started advocating on behalf of my neighbors to stop a corrupt in-cap development project. At the time, I supported and worked with the slate that opposed the Democratic establishment who had taken campaign contributions from the developer. So for years, I've been fighting pay-to-play politics, and I've always appreciated the advocacy of this organization. And as promised, the county has a pay-to-play ordinance in place, one that's been cleaned up so it can withstand any court challenge. You have my continued commitment to maintain the pay-to-play restriction that currently stands on the county level. I have a sense of putting people first. I believe we all have an obligation to care, volunteer, and help each other. I believe government needs to provide a social safety net, as well as vital services such as public safety, expanded opportunities for our children, and caring for our seniors. I'm a Democrat who will compromise with Republicans for the public good, but will never forget my values and principles. I hope to earn your continued support this November and look forward to having the opportunity to continue to serve as your freeholder. Thank you.
Now please welcome incumbent freeholder John Mitchell.
Former freeholder.
I stand corrected.
But soon to be an incumbent. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I too want to thank Bergen Grassroots for putting together this important forum this evening to hear our views. My background is I'm a retired utility executive. I have 2 major functions while I worked at Con Edison. My first function I'd like to talk about is I was the manager of outreach and education, and my job was to be the advocate for the public to a large company like Con Edison to talk about the elderly, the blind, disabled, and those suffering from HIV/AIDS. I transferred for that into another project in which I was focused on environmental issues, and particularly pushing the utility to be more environmentally focused through energy efficiency. My job as vice president was to push issues such as, for the larger buildings, get people involved with better lighting motors, HVAC, solar, and also I pushed the big thing about selling and providing what they call green electrons, which is electricity, generated by either wind or solar. During my time as a freeholder, I'm very proud to point to the fact that we actually cut the budget from the previous year. It was the first time it was ever done. And it not only cut the budget, but we actually made reductions compared to the previous year, which had never been done. I'm looking forward to the opportunity to come back and serve you as a freeholder. In my life, I have 5 children and 3 grandchildren so far, and believe me, the so far only applies to the 3 grandchildren. But in any event, I welcome the opportunity to come here. I commend everybody that's up on this podium tonight because it's not easy to get up here and speak to a large crowd like this. And I appreciate your coming out tonight, and God bless you all.
And now please welcome Ken Dubersky.
Hi. First, I'd like to thank the Bergen Grassroots for putting on this event and for hosting the debate. I'd also like to thank everybody in the audience who came out tonight. I know there was a little bit of traffic on 208 and Route 4 in getting over here. My background, I am originally from Garfield, New Jersey. Spent the first 24 years of my life there before I met my soon-to-be wife. We moved to Somerset, New Jersey for a couple of years and then moved to Ramsey, New Jersey. In Ramsey, I'm currently a councilman. I've been a councilman for the past 5 years. I I chair the Building, Planning, and Zoning Committee. I am the current chair for the Utilities, Buildings, and Grounds Committee. I'm a member of the Finance Committee, Health Department, everything. You name it, I've kind of done it in town. My background is I'm a graduate of St. Peter's College. I've got a master's from the Stevens Institute of Technology in Hoboken. I am married to my wife. It'll be 14 years this October 20th, and I have 2 children. The reason I got involved in politics is I wanted to find out basically where all my tax dollars went. So after several weeks of complaining about my tax bill, my wife said, well, why don't you stop complaining and do something about it? So that was my foray into getting involved into local clubs and local government, and just to find out where everything's going. That sparked an interest in being a member of the council, and that's also sparked my interest in becoming a member of the Freeholder board. I want to know where every one of those tax dollars goes. I'm sure you do. I want to make sure that the roads are kept up to date. I want to make sure the infrastructure is kept up to date. I want to make sure that we're doing the right things for the people of Bergen County. And thank you.
This is a written statement of a candidate for Freeholder who could not be here tonight. Statement by Rich Siegel, Green Party candidate for Bergen County Freeholder. Greetings to all. I regret that I'm not able to be with you personally. My teaching schedule at Crestwood Music Education Center includes Thursday evenings. By way of introduction, my name is Rich Siegel. I grew up in neighboring Rockland County, New York. My wife, Gu Xuan, and I have been living in Teaneck since 1999. We have a 10-year-old daughter, Emily. I'm employed at the above-mentioned music school and also serve as music director at Unity Church in Montclair. I also have an active career as a freelance musician and music educator. My wife works in risk management at Covanta Energy in Morristown. She is a native of Beijing, China. My political awareness dates back to childhood, when my parents used to take me and my brother to demonstrations against the war in Vietnam. As an adult, my focus has been on the Israel-Palestine issue. I have long felt that as a Jewish supporter of the Palestinian cause, it has been important for me to speak out. The Israeli ethnic cleansing of Palestine must end, and it will not end with continued American support. I was a registered Democrat for most of my adult life. Increasingly, I found that I was holding my nose while voting Democratic, just to vote against the Republicans. It got to a critical point with me in the 2008 presidential election, witnessing Obama's fawning speech at AIPAC. I have been voting for Green Party and independent candidates ever since, have changed my voter registration to green, and I'm very pleased at this time to be running for office for the very first time ever as a Green Party candidate. My political activism, focused on supporting the Palestine cause locally, has demanded that I act on my own, since the local Peace and Justice Coalition would not touch the issue. In fact, they expelled me from membership and barred me from attending their meetings because I carried a sign at a demonstration calling our attack on Iraq as a war for Israel, and because I offered to bring a speaker on the Palestinian issue to a coalition meeting. When Teaneck's congregation, B'nai Yeshurun, held a real estate event in their synagogue, selling illegal West Bank settlement homes directly to American Jews in violation of both international law and local anti-discrimination law, I single-handedly organized a very successful demonstration against it. I also organized a well-attended demonstration against the street fair celebration of the 60th anniversary of Israel's independence. Upon discovering that Teaneck had a sister city relationship with an illegal West Bank settlement, I organized against it and had the relationship shut down. I am against the erodes that the Orthodox Jewish community has put up in various locations, including my South Side Teaneck neighborhood, which is predominantly non-Jewish, because I feel that Orthodox Jews should not be permitted to impose officially religious areas on non-Jewish and secular Jewish neighborhoods. I was opposed to plans for a Jewish charter school, which is fortunately no longer planned. However, I have my radar out for any future plans. I am against charter schools generally, but specifically when they are used in order to circumvent constitutionally mandated separation of church and state. I stand with the Green Party platform on all relevant issues. I am committed to the cause of peace and feel strongly that the bogus, quote, war on terror, unquote, must cease on all fronts, and that all American military should be located inside American borders. I feel strongly American support for Israel must cease immediately. I consider myself an environmentalist and look forward to the day when the use of fossil fuels is history. I endorse changing over to renewable resources as quickly and efficiently as possible, especially to solar energy. I oppose introducing new fossil fuel infrastructure, including the proposed pipeline. I oppose the transport of flammable liquids by rail through our densely populated county, especially as the tracks cross over part of the Oradell Reservoir. If temporary continued transport is a fait accompli, then the trains must be made safer in the short term, but with the elimination of such transport the goal. I support funding for treatment for addicts, acknowledging the rise in heroin use in the county. However, I oppose our ongoing, quote, war on drugs, unquote, and feel strongly that all relevant substances need to be decriminalized, regulated, and taxed. The tainted heroin which has reached our streets is a direct result of our war on drugs, as this occurs when an underworld network takes over the drug trade in our current era of prohibition. As a taxpayer, I am very aware that our property tax rates are extremely high and hope to strive for a balanced approach to our budget that keeps necessary programs intact but does not include raising the property tax burden. That's my statement, and I thank you for your kind attention.
We thought it was important that Mr. Siegel get a chance, and he got about 4 minutes for that speech, but we won't hear from him again. I want to begin the